Hey guys, Dave here. Welcome to the Centurions Review, the punk rock band of wargame review institutions. This is Conflict of Heroes Guadalcanal from Academy Games. This is not my game. My friend let me borrow this to do an unboxing after the fact. After the fact means we played it last Saturday. We played Scenario 1. I haven't read the rules yet, and I'm still learning the game, so I don't know enough to do a review of the rules or anything, so we're just going to talk about the components here. I might mention one or two rules that I do know, but like I said, I haven't read the rules. I'm not an expert on the game. I'm not qualified to review the mechanics or the rule set or any of that, so we're just going to talk about the components. Anyhow, let's get to it. Guadalcanal continues the multi-award-winning Conflict of Heroes series. Players command platoons and companies of individual squads and tanks to resolve the same tactical dilemmas that commanders face during some of the most ferocious engagements of World War II. In Guadalcanal, the Americans track victory points, but the Japanese track Bushido. If a Japanese commander loses face during battle, his command and men's morale can crumble. This is a groundbreaking new concept that forces players to think like their 1942 counterparts. Conflict of Heroes features a fast and fluid system that is easy to learn but realistic to all of the unique theaters of battle portrayed. Alright, and that says it's fun, easy, historically accurate, and talking about the counters and consistent. And the rest back here is just advertisement saying it's the #1 rated war game series. What else does it say here? And that's got some quotations here. Anyhow, this is just about the components, so let's look at the components. Alright, it has actually two of these player summary sheets. I do like that. They seem to contain most of the information you're going to need. The only information I wish it had is when you take damage, you have things like pinned and so forth. I wish they had a second handout that showed what all those meant, because once your first time playing it, you get a little confused with those. But anyhow, it's good that they have two summary sheets. The second one's in here somewhere. So one for each player. And here's a rule book. We'll get to that in a minute. And this is the firefight book. And as you can see, it has really big counters. Counters have quite a bit of information on them too, and that's good. More information you can put on a counter, the less you have to look through the rule book or the player's aid card. And here, I guess this is a little advertisement, so if you want to buy any of their other games. Here's some more counters. Yeah, there's LCPs, or landing craft, whatever you call them. First scenario, there's a landing craft in it. This is already punched. This is for some of the terrain pieces. Here's the other summary sheet. So you can see there's quite a few different types of terrain, and it talks about how they affect foot movement, track movement, boat movement, and then the die roll modifiers, and whether it blocks line of sight or if it's can be used for cover. And then some additional movement rules back here. Each player gets one of these sheets. This is a action point game, and there's also command points. Essentially, you have a certain number of action points, and you can spend some to do things. Let's see if we can find actions. You can move with them, or you can attack with them too. So there's move, attack, rally, hide, hasty defense, use card, blah blah blah. So there's the actions, and there's group actions too. So if your units are next to each other, you can do a group move or a group attack, which is kind of cool. And then there's command points. Since I was just learning the first scenario, I haven't read the rules. I understood the action points, the command points. When I needed to use those, the guy who was showing me how to play showed me how to do that. One thing I noticed with the command points is if you don't roll high enough to wound an enemy, you can use some command points to increase the value of your roll. So, and then you keep track of, I think this is, keep track of the game around here and the number of victory points you have. And there's 4 of these, so I would assume that means there's some scenario where there's 4 players. I would guess it would be 2 on 2 or something. Alright, here are the map pieces. The map pieces, the terrain looks very realistic, and whoever the artist is did a wonderful job. However, there's a problem. If you look, let me see if the light shining is reflecting off here. But if you look closely, you can barely see the hexes here. But when you get to terrain like this, it's really hard to see the hexes. You have to like stand up and look over the map, and it's still really hard to see the hexes. And let me explain why that's a problem. You can't, I mean, you can kind of figure out where the hex is and because of where the others are located, but this is a game where facing is important. So if you can't see the hex sides, it's really hard to face your unit correctly. So though this is a beautiful map, it's made out of beautiful material, they really dropped the ball with the hexes because in many places you just can't see them. I'm surprised that didn't come up in playtesting. Alright, here's another map. Yeah, like I said, looks, there's a river. Yeah, these look really nice, but like I said, there's that problem, you just can't see what hex you're in. And as you notice too, each hex has a identifier for it, but when you're in the forest, you can't really read the identifier because it's like the same color as the forest, so that's a problem. So then you got to figure out approximately where the hex is, and then look at the hexes outside to figure out what that hex's number is, so that's a problem. Give me one sec, there we go. But these are beautiful though, some of the finest looking maps I've seen. This one looks real nice too. This is the map we were using here for scenario 1. Had a landing craft that parked somewhere over here, and then he started with some units forming a defensive line here, and he had some scouts who you wanted to get back to the landing craft so you could get them out of there in one piece, and there's victory points that you earned for each unit you got back on the landing craft, or if you didn't use the scouts at all, you got points for not using them. But that kind of made me wonder what was the point of the scenario if you don't put the scouts on the map, but I don't know. I didn't read the full scenario, so maybe if I read it I'd understand, but that seemed a little odd. Alright, this is what I really like. This is the best counter tray I've ever seen in my life. Nothing compares. I have never ever seen a counter tray this good. You can organize your counters by type and stuff. Well, you can do that with a regular counter tray too, but it also holds the cards. Let me get this out of here. Guess it's easier just to take the whole thing out. But let's look at the cards. Some of the cards, like the ones we used, gave us artillery and stuff. Yeah, this one came up during the game we played. And then this one came up with a reveal enemy, but none of the enemy were hidden, so I couldn't really use it. I lost in the scenario we played, but it was because I was unfamiliar with the rules. Alright, let's put these back here. And here's the terrain pieces you can put on the map to change the terrain. And this one here is kind of cool. Let me see if I can get it out of here. It's got a little village and stuff. That's cool. Alright, let's look at the firefight book. He said there was a lot of scenarios in this. Yeah, this is the one we played. So that's firefight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Iron Coffins, interesting name. Does it have tanks? Yeah, it's got tanks. Okay, that makes sense. 7, 8, 9, 10. Battle for Henderson Field, that's cool. And that looks like that one uses the optional, or the extra terrain pieces he put on the map. Here's 11 and 12. So that's getting some good replayability out of there with 12 scenarios. Let's take a look at the rule book. I haven't even opened the rule book yet. Like I said, my friend was just kind of telling me how to play. So let's see how many pages it is. It's 22 pages. It looks like the last 2 pages there, it's given explanations of the cards. Yeah, let me show you this. When you take damage, you pick these damage tokens out of a cup and put them underneath your units, and you put them up, from what my friend said, you put them upside down so your opponent doesn't know what type of effect had on your unit. So if it's suppressed, you put that under there. Obviously, you have to make sure when you use the unit that you keep in mind that it's suppressed, or don't use it at all, or whatever suppressed does. But your opponent's not sure if it's suppressed, pinned, or whatever, so keeps your opponent guessing. And if I recall correctly, like this one says R greater than or equal to 8, so if you want to get rid of the suppression, you roll 2 dice and you have to roll an 8 or greater, and I think in addition to that you have to spend like 5 action points or something. So it's expensive and not guaranteed to unsuppress or unpin a unit. Alright, going over the game setup down here. Let me zoom out, sorry about that. Game setup down here, going over unit types. And the turns. And the type of actions you can do during a turn. And going over victory points, action points. Here's going over the terrain and the effect on movement and other things in the game. And then backwards movement. There's special rules for that. And your units have flanks in this too. So see, like right here, it has a flank defense and a front defense. What I found interesting is the flank defense, that number is more highlighted than the front defense. So I don't know if they're assuming that you're going to be flanked more often than you're attacked on the front, but I don't know. The guy who was showing me the game too thought that was curious why they made the flank defense more highlighted than the front. It's going over arcs of fire here, hits. Oh, there's close combat too. I didn't even know that. We never had any close combat in that scenario. Interesting. Going over smoke and flares. Open top vehicles. Vehicles as cover. Mortar units. Obstacles. And here's hidden units. Oh, there's snipers too. You know, the Japanese had a sniper rifle in that war. I forget the cartridge it took, but it had a really long barrel, and 100% of the powder burned before the projectile left the barrel, which meant at night it had no muzzle flash whatsoever. So if they fired that at night, there's absolutely no way you could tell really what direction the sniper was coming from, unless you were trying to use the noise from the rifle, but you could not see the flash whatsoever. If anyone knows what that rifle's called, post a comment in the comments section and let us know. Alright, going over landing craft, elevation and line of sight. It's got a lot of rules that typically you only see in a miniatures game. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Just wanted to show you guys this. Like I said, I'm still learning the rules. I haven't read the rule book yet, so I haven't developed an opinion on the mechanics or the rules yet. But if you guys have played this game, why don't you post in the comments section, let us know how you like the game, and tell us a little about some of the scenarios you've played. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Hope have a good evening.